What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the mighty little engine. The 4H here we are building for Josh for his Corolla. Josh is out here today. We are going to get some more of this thing put together. Yeah, the camera's not set high enough for us all. But anyway, that's alright, we'll just crouch. So, we've done the rod clearances, blocks painted. We're pretty much ready to do the mains, ring gaps, start assembly. So we'll see how far we get today. Put in a few hours and yeah, hopefully start getting this thing together a bit, which would be cool. Righto, so we have some more parts that have arrived for this thing. So we managed to sort out a ring pack to suit those pistons that we don't actually know what they are. So we just have to measure up all of the ring grooves and actually just find a ring pack to suit. So we've got some Total Seal rings to suit that. We have some ACR thrust washers now, which is awesome because we didn't have them before. We've also got some new wire locks for the wrist pins. So we actually have all the stuff here to get this thing together. So we've also got our bearings here ready to go, which you already knew about. So basically everything's here to put the bottom end together. It's just a matter of how far we get with doing the ring gaps and everything else. So we'll get into it. So Josh is actually documenting all of this on his own YouTube channel now. He's got his own YouTube channel. He recently picked up an XR6 Turbo Ute and stuff like that. So he decided to start documenting his antics on his own channel. So if you'd like to go check that out, go check it out. It's called Parker's Garage. I'll put a little thing up in the corner here. I'll also put a link in the description. So if you want to see more of this mug, yes, doing garage stuff, well then that's there. So, but anyway, we're going to teach him a bit more about engine assembly today, and should be good fun. Righto, so we're going to get some ring gap out of the way first, just because it's really time consuming and something we have to do outside the engine room. So obviously after ring gap we can give this a final clean down and get it in the engine room. It shouldn't have to come back out until it's assembled. So we get this out of the way first, teach Josh about some ring gaps. Because we do plan on running quite a bit of boost in this little thing, it's going to be making quite a bit of power for the size of the engine that it is. We're going to go moderately big on the ring gaps. We're going to shoot for 5.5 thou per inch of bore on the top ring. So we've got our ring filer out here at the moment. Sorry for the mess, guys. We are halfway through the V80 rebuild. As you can see, Rex over there in the corner welding. So there's not a lot of room happening. Lucky it's only a little engine, doesn't take up a lot of room. And lucky for us, it's only a 4-cylinder, so there's not a heap of rings to file. So about half as many rings as a V8, which is nice. So anyway, we'll get to filing these rings. Josh can have a go at ring filing. So the most important things to remember about filing rings is that you always file the ring towards the center or towards the piston side. You never file the ring towards the bore, because that way if it leaves a little bit of a dag, it ends up on the bore wall, which obviously creates a lot of damage. If there is going to be a dag, you want it to be on the piston end. So even then though, the way we do them, we always use a little tiny hobby file to clean up the filed edges once we're done, to make sure there is no dag. So that's just a precaution that we take. A lot of engine builders do it, some of them don't. It is very time consuming, but we always do it. And it just takes off the little chamfers on the ring ends that have been filed, which is, helpful. So anyway, we'll get some rings in. We might not even have to file these yet. We'll have a look. Righto, so I've done the first two. The second one ended up just a little bit big. That was my bad. Just misjudged how soft these rings and how quickly they would file up. So the second one's a little bit wider than we'd like, but you get that on the big jobs. It won't hurt the bore of the big thing. So start out with. Josh has had the rundown, clamps the ring filer now, so rest is up to Josh. Learning.
I guess I'll see how I go.
This is a shed of learned doctors.
Yeah.
Alright guys, before we get too far into today's video, we'd just like to give a shout out to this video's sponsor, Precious Body Handmade Jewelry. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, boys. Don't give your missus an excuse to have your balls in a purse. Buy her something nice, something she can look at every day to remind herself to buy her something sick for Christmas, something good for your birthday. Get into it. Handmade jewelry made right here in Southeast Queensland. Support some locally owned businesses. Righto, so our top rings are all gapped up. So at the moment, Josh is just here starting to clean up the edges of the rings with a little hobby file, just to get rid of any dags, any lip that has been put on the ring from the filing process, just to clean them up a bit, so then we can move on to the second ring. Righto guys, Josh is well underway with the second rings. So the second ring pack we're doing around 4 thou bigger than the top ring, just to eliminate any sort of ring chatter or any issues with that. And it should be happy days like that. So they're all coming up pretty well on point. They're not needing a lot of grinding, which is good. So Josh has gapped up all his rings. Rings are gapped here in the allocated cylinders, ready to go. We've got the wrist pins in the freezer so that we can start actually assembling our rods and pistons. We've already done our rod bearings, you saw that in a previous episode. So while I sort these out, Josh is going to start on the mains and get the studs and sort of start getting the studs in the block and start G'ing this up to get looked at. We've also got the oil squirters to clean up so that they're ready to go back in the block as well. Josh has still got to order the restrictor that he wants to run in the feed for the head for this thing. But it's not super important at the moment because we're not going to get probably that far today anyway. So we really would like to check the mains today because this thing was such a budget orientated build. As you guys, if you don't already know, go watch the previous episodes of this build. You get a rundown on why this thing is so budget and basically how cool it is for how much money it's cost so far. So because of that, we didn't bother getting the main tunnel line honed to suit the new studs. We sort of just decided we'd wait, see how it measures up. Hopefully it's okay, as long as our straight up and down as well as our diags aren't too bad. We'll just run the gauntlet and see how it goes. So Josh understands the risks.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, so basically it's not something we just do for any engine, but Josh understands exactly what's going on, and because it was going to save us quite a big chunk of money by doing, we've decided just to see how it goes like that. So we sort of want to measure that up now so that we know that, you know, if it is really far out, if it's obviously not going to be safe, then we're going to have to bite the bullet and get it done, and we'd like to know about that sooner rather than later so that we can get it underway if that is the case. So Josh will sort that out while I start getting these pistons and rods together.
So
yeah,
getting
it is slow old progress moving along with this thing. We've got all the pistons and rods together. Our new wire locks have worked awesome, so that's freaking great. I'm glad that they were the right size. So that's awesome. So our pistons and rods are together, rings are gapped ready to go on the pistons. That's all well and good. We started doing the main clearances. Now, one thing I didn't expect, I don't know why I didn't expect it because it's such a tiny little motor, but the main journals are actually also tiny. Who'd have thought, right? So our dial gauge, it will do up to 2 inches. Up to 2 inches fine. You know, there's not a lot of engines that we regularly build here that we have to worry about things under 2 inches. RB25s are probably pretty much one of the only ones that I can say we regularly would build that we actually need to go down lower than 2 inches, because the RB30 rods are actually just a smidge bigger. They're just over 2 inches, which is nice. But the mains on this thing even are smaller than 2 inches, so it's not a big deal. We've got these, which are other little devices for measuring internal diameters, which work fine. There's no problem with that. We do a little bit more contingency when we use these. We actually do a few more measurements than we normally would with just the bore gauge, just to be sure. But the problem is, as much as these things work and they're okay, they do take much longer than just the bore gauge does on its own. Just for a few reasons, mostly just making sure the clearances are all right. So we only managed to get through one main for now. We're sort of out of time for today, but just doing the diagonals on the main, the diagonals are looking fine. So I'm pretty confident to say that hopefully we should be right with this thing without worrying about getting the mains line honed. But we are a little bit tight. That bearing clearance is 1.5 thou, which is probably a bit tight for a main for this thing. If I had to run it, I wouldn't be too worried. The one thing about these things is, although they do rev quite hard, we do plan on turning this thing probably more than 9,000 RPM. The fact is that because the journal is so small, the actual bearing speed is really low. It's hard to explain quickly, but basically this thing turning at 9,000 RPM with just like a 1.8 inch main journal, the bearing speed is probably really not much faster than, say, an LS turning to 6.5 sort of thing, if that makes any sense. So the bearing speed of that journal is very, very different because the journal's so small. So a 1.5 thou, although it sounds really tight for an engine that's doing 9,000 RPM, for such a small journal, it's not a huge deal really, and I will be happy to run it if we have to. But we'll wait and see what the rest come up as. If we got some looser ones, we hopefully should be able to fish these bearings around and get them all a bit better than that. And if they all come up that tight, I might look at getting some oversized bearings, or undersized, depending on how you look at it. Basically bearings designed for higher RPM, which have a little bit more clearance. Anyway, we'll worry about that at a later date. That's all we got time for today. Josh has got to head home. It's pretty late on the Saturday, but we'll get stuck back into this as time goes on, Josh is really keen to get the Corolla sorted. So I'll pick this video up next time he's back out here. So thanks for watching. Don't know why I'm about to sign this off, so we'll pick it up soon. Righto guys, so it has been 2 weeks. As you can see, literally nothing's changed. I haven't had time to touch it. Josh is back out here today.
Gonna get some more stuff done.
Try and get some more done. It's been a pretty flat out morning for us, and Josh was late.
Fashionably late.
So anyway, we pretty much got to continue on with our main bearings, which was what I was hoping to have done before Josh came back out, but it just didn't happen. Been too busy, so we'll crack on with that, and hopefully we can actually get this bottom end together today. We'll see how we go. 11:58. Righto guys, so we're down to main cap number 1. So we are getting through these tolerances. We haven't been filming too much because most of the shit that's getting spoken is not airable at all. Like
not allowed on.
Not even usable footage, really. It's nonsense. But anyway, they're all coming up very consistent. Again, they are sort of tight, but given the size of the journals, I'm pretty happy to run them the way they are. But yeah, very consistent. It's all looking pretty good. All of our diags are coming good with clearance. So it's looking like we shouldn't have to worry about any sort of main tunnel honing. Which obviously, like I said, I wouldn't recommend building an engine this way. This really was just because it's very budget and we're trying to cut out some machining costs. So, you know, if you were doing all brand new equipment and you were doing a fairly big budget build, you would just get that done. You wouldn't play this game, but we are, because, well, it's Josh.
Yeah. Realistically, I mean, if it's okay and it'll be alright, then obviously, yeah, it all depends on what you want to do, really. I look at it as, if I can save that money and it'll be okay, then I might as well. But I was prepared to take the cost if we needed to, and it had to be done, I would most definitely do it, just because obviously I want it to last, so that's the main thing. But I'm very confident that this thing will see a lot of abuse. Lots
of abuse.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Charlotte?
Reliability.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it sees abuse like you do.
Yeah. Nah, it's other way. I get the
I believe it too.
Yeah.
Righto guys, we're cracking along. We did have to do some bearing fishing. Number 1 ended up real tight on the main, so we actually swapped it with 3. That was the widest one, and they sort of evened out pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. They're a little bit on the tight side, but I don't mind running engines tight. So we just got the oil squirters in. It's pretty much now ready to get the crank in for a dry run with the thrust bearings and just make sure the end float's alright. Then we're going to take the crank back out again, and then we're going to start putting the crank in properly.
Assembling.
Yeah. Righto, so we've got a perfect 5 hour end float. Happy days. Bloody get this crank lubed up and in there, eh? Hey?
Done.
Oh, pull that back off again, please. Again. Oh, it's all going on here. It's all happening, mate.
What's all going on today? Yeah,
Everyone's learning so much.
So much
Yes.
learning. The brain is hard to comprehend things that are going on with engines and squelch and just name engine things. Built.
Yeah, what squelch you on your crank at?
I run the squelch at 36 Newton meters per kilogram.
Squanch! Righto, crank's in. She glides around like so. Hand's slippery because I just washed it. Moist hand, but yeah, she's bloody looking good, mate. One step closer, eh?
Yeah.
Gotta get all them things in there now.
Get all those things. Yeah, so I actually found out a fair bit more about those, so that's good. Got onto the owner that owns Par Engineering in New South Wales, which is where the rods actually come from, and he assured me that he said safely we can push it up to around 200 horsepower per cylinder. So that was awesome news for me to hear. Like I almost cried with happy tears, and it was really good. I was actually really happy. On a serious note, it's really good to know that we can push it, but we won't push it too hard. We'll just make power to make it reliable and have fun. So
Make up your mind.
I don't know what I want to do yet.
Send her.
Just send it.
Yeah, just go all of it. Now, seeing that thing on the dyno this morning made me super uber keen. I was like, yes.
What do you reckon, Charlotte?
It's really good.
It's really good?
I don't know.
It's great. It's really great.
I was spinning around, and apparently I don't want to. Right, now the torque's actually off this thing now. So.
Oh, beauty. So we're gonna put them back up there.
Just so you've learned, Max, just please don't do that again.
Asshole.
It was accidente.
Thanks for watching anyway, guys. That's going to be it for this episode for the 4Age. We've got the crank in. That's progress. Bearings are all looking pretty good. So hopefully she's all sweet. Yeah. And happy days. So we'll tune in next time. Get Josh out here maybe next weekend. Yeah. To get all these rods and pistons in and get started on modifying this head and doing what we've got to do to this head. Then we just dock the two together and...
Yeah. Oh, I got to order the oil restrictor first.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to a couple of people that have done it, see which companies they can. Some people recommend milling one up, but I'm thinking about possibly buying one off and just doing like a friction fitment type thing, like put it in the freezer, get it to cool.
Interference fit.
Yeah, interference fit. That's the one. That's the word I was looking for. So.
Yep.
And then tap it in, and they said it has to have a 3mm hole in it, but because the GZA oil pumps that we've got, they like to flow a lot. Apparently standard one can flow up to around 10,000 RPM, which is nowhere near what we're going to push this thing, but at the same time it's good to know that I'm going to have good oil flow, but as I said, we need to be able to get it back down in the block, so these things really struggle with that. So.
Well, with that sort of oil flow and these sorts of bearing clearance, it's just going to make heaps of oil pressure, mate.
And that's what we
just run from nice thin oil.
Where does the restrictor go? Just into an oil passage in the block?
I'll show you, so we'll flip him over if you want.
And you just drill it out, get a 1/8 MPT bung, and just put a 3mm hole through the middle of the bung. Just
we've already put the crank in there.
Oh well, it's not my fault, you guys are dumb.
Hey, this is the first time hearing of this.
I'll show you which one. Oh fuck, hang on. Just going forward. Forward, there we go. So, this one has to go in that one right there.
Yeah. Oh well, if you hadn't already put the crank in,
Could have, yeah, drilled it out and tapped it.
water on though.
What is it? Not.
Why don't we just get one that you knock in like every RB you ever do?
Oh, go ahead.
We will.
Just we've
We're gonna.
we got bungs, we could have done it like straight away.
Yeah.
Just drill a hole in a bung. Nah, thank you for watching, guys. We'll be cracking on with this in coming episodes. See you on the next one. Peace out. Oh, get head to Josh's YouTube channel and check it out if you want to see more.
Like, share, subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Charlotte. We'll see you. Smeesh it. Smeesh the bill so you don't miss anything. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. Peace out. See you. Bye.
You guys need this in your life, okay? You're not going to be